Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Inside Movies Galore. I am your host, David Streggy, and here I have another review for you of an anthology that came out in 2016 from Screaming Like Banshes Productions directors Rob Michaels and Carolyn Baker, involving some of their actors that they work with. And, well, Rob Michaels is a director behind The Lurking, and he's also behind a couple of segments in The Hole in the Wall anthology that came out from Madison. This was produced by Carolyn Baker and written by both Shane White and Rob Michaels and Carolyn Baker. So this is a collection of 6 films. So this anthology starts out with an intro of a scruffy looking dude. You go into a basement, and I just want to show you the cover of this thing. This is what it actually looks like. I know it looks kind of crummy as a picture, so hopefully you can see some of that. So it's kind of a cool cover. It got better in covers. So in any case, so the scruffy looking dude you see go into a basement and just grunts, and then goes and mixes a poison with a bag of weed. And then you see him go around the side of the house and peep in a window and watch as a stoner, played by Shane White, finds the bag, smokes it, and coughs up blood and dies, while Creeper Dude smiles into the camera, going into the first tale. Dead Drunk is the first tale. The first section has Shane White playing a dude. He keeps waking up from a recurring nightmare that someone keeps telling him. The funny thing is, there appears to be a beer kept stashed at every turn. Until he's, In any case, the second segment in this anthology is called Demon's Loot. So next we see a man make coffee, then turns on his TV. A bell rings. There's a guitar case with a guitar just sitting there, and he brings it in. It glows red and appears to demonically possess him as he whispers, "Yes, master." As the guitar turns on, it's seemingly of its own accord. He picks up the guitar and laughs, saying they're all going to die. And so he calls his bandmate up for practice for today. Then his fellow guitarist walks in, starts to open up his case, pulls out his instrument, turns around, and his bandmate stands there as his guitar appears to lash out and strangle the dude to death. And then the main guy saws his mate's head off and asks if it pleases his master. Shane White's character gets called while playing a game. He shows up, apparently the drummer, and starts drumming at his machine. You can tell he's not the one drumming, but you get the idea he's practicing. He stands up when his bandmates walk in and ask where everyone else is, and the guitar string shoots out and pulls his intestines out while he screams to his death. We see the main dude continue to pull his insides out. The third member drives up in a van listening to death metal as we see the main dude plug his demonic guitar into some amps. Dude swivels all over the road and pulls up, walks up the drive, and notices the others aren't there. Goes in, and main guy just plays the lowest chords at the loudest volume and blows his third member's ears out. The next segment is called The Christmas Mommy, and this one is directed by Carolyn Baker. So 100 years ago, and this is actually my favorite part of this anthology for some reason. 100 years ago in Madison County, a man was put to sleep with either promising that uh, uh, um, a tint of mercury will heal him, claiming a radiance accumulator will grant him everlasting life. Years later, a man orders the radiance accumulator online, thinking he'll use it in some Christmas event coming up. The contraption arrives, but it doesn't seem to open. Then it begins shaking on its own. Out slides a mummy. It opens its eyes, gets up, and rips his buyer's arms off. Realizing he's in the year 2011, he sets off to find a time machine. Next, we see a man in a top hat and cape near a park bench. We see a mall Santa taking a shot. Then he asks how his Christmas is and offers him some whiskey. The man in the cape beats him to death and then walks on and continues to search for a time machine. Kicks a dog in the river and he mutters none of this would ever have happened. And he throws a sled into a tree. Rips another sledder's head off, walks into town, asks every Tom, Dick, and Harry about the time machine, kills them if they don't know. Demanding where the time machine is, he arrives at a Christmas party, storms inside, demands for a time machine, killing, smudging, smashing everyone in sight, making everyone run. Bullets don't even stop him. When I find the time machine, none of this would have ever happened. So the phone rings and a message plays. It's Shane White. Playing a dude in a home filled with roaches falling all over his ceiling. He imagines a clown sitting in front of him, and this is the next segment by now. He goes to the bathroom, looks in the tub, and there's a woman dead with an arrow there. He hears a knock. It's Detective Donnelly looking for some missing girl. He slowly walks through as Shane's character sneaks up behind the detective with an extinguisher just in case. About to leave, the detective turns around and discovers the missing girl in a closet. As Shane White's character knocks him out, the detective wakes up with a shiner, reaches for a jar, and throws the liquid and sprays the extinguisher into Shane White's character's face. You hear him slowly groan as you see his face melt before your eyes. With no title to this tale, I move on. The next segment is called Rotten Friend. So in here is starring in here is Rick Smart, Izzy Plunkett, Smila Reyes, and Shane White. So a man drives his car to a cemetery and takes out a wheelchair and brings his dead friend home for his birthday. So he takes his friend out to get a hooker, wakes him for breakfast, and seems to have an invisible conversation with him. As bugs drop from his sockets, they go out for a walk over a bridge on a road. He then takes them to the park on a swing. A kid shoots some beach balls at them, and then they go to a ball diamond. And Rick Smart's character hits the baseball straight into Shane White's character's forehead. We then see him drop him off at the cemetery, and we see him physically walking to his grave as he promises they'll do the same next year. In the next segment, Flesh-Eating Frog, which is my second favorite short film on this anthology. A man goes down to the lake to fish, catches something, reels it in. It's an old canister. He opens it up, and this smoke seeps out and feasts on his flesh in a matter of seconds. He's gone. The frog travels to a stoner with a boombox. He takes a green bong out, takes a puff, sets it down. The frog travels into the bottle before his next drag. He picks it up, takes the hit, and it eats him from the inside out. He coughs up blood, and then you see blood squirting out his chest as this fog evaporates from him over the top. Definitely the top acting, but very effective as well. It travels to the playground where two kids are playing. The fog seeps in, and the little girl gets eaten, and as does the kid as his blood drips down the slide. A man who was walking his dog unsuspectedly into the path of the drifting fog. As you hear screams from both man and dog, you see the man's arm and blood everywhere. Another man walks into his garage to fix his car. The fog slips under the door and eats his whole upper half. His wife grabs him a beer, having been called to, and the fog gets her as she walks back out the door. You see her hand slide down the door and screams as you see her body melt. So this film starred John Hill as the fisherman, Shane White as the stoner, Smiler Reyes as both the girl on the swing and boy on the slide, Rob Michaels as the dog walker, Cthulhu as the dog, Jason Phelps as the grease monkey, Sheila Holt as the angry wife. Now, I enjoyed this anthology. Don't get me wrong. The total fact that Shane White, who often is behind the effects in the stories, seems to love getting killed or being the killer hero or whatever. But there's a story that's in between the Christmas Mummy and the Rotten Friend that seems to be missing the title. I understood the tale, but it wasn't part of the intro tale. It was a standalone story, and I think it needed a credit to tell who played the detective. But as a wrap-up, a thought for being homemade, kind of a shot on video feeling, knowing that they had it on VHS only at one point, because it looked like they copied it from VHS, which gives it a grindhouse look. I believe the film on a whole is a great little piece of Wisconsin indie horror. And I liked especially the tales of the Christmas Mummy, Rotten Friend, and Flesh Eating Fog. I believe that those were the strongest on this anthology. I recommend this anthology for all other horror fans to check this film out if they can. If this sounds like something you would watch, definitely check it out in your own time. I thought that it was put together rather well, and I was entertained. Hopefully, I described this anthology to you all in a very good way. I thought I did a pretty decent job. Thank you for listening. Check the film out in your own way, and let me know what your thoughts are of this anthology down below if you've seen it. Definitely check out some of my other reviews. I'm definitely going to have some more cool reviews for you coming up here. So just thanks for the traffic ahead of time. Appreciate it.